to what were they doing? What did they do that got them to that age so mentally and physically intact that we're not seeing today? According to some statistics, longevity is 52.
And it's declining.
Which means our children will likely live shorter.
Wow.
There'll be a lot more parents burying their children.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Patrick Ijewere. It's so good to always have you. It's so good to always connect with you. It's so good to always be here. And this is an Hour with Manager's first physical podcast, and we've been in existence for the past 1 year and 6 months. God so kind, when you start something, you don't know how it's going to go. But with time, you keep going, you keep building, and then you keep having team. And now today we have a wonderful team with us who is actually setting this up. And today we're having a physical studio where we can sit and converse, where people can also watch and see what we're doing. And I believe that at the end of this conversation, at the end of this very podcast, we're going to gain valuable information. So everyone who's going to be listening to this, going to be watching this from wherever they are at work or probably at home or probably driving back, they're going to get the best value from this very conversation. And today I have here with me Dr. Patrick. I am Ubong Matthew. I'm the host for Now with a Manager podcast. And like I said, I'm going to be here for as long as possible by the grace of God. Let's see how to move that. Also, so thank you very much, Doctor. How are you doing today?
Very, very well. We're good. We're grateful.
All right, no problem. Okay, so for the benefit of those that don't really know you and for the benefit of those that we're meeting you for the first time, please, I would like you to just walk us through something very unique about you, something very interesting about you, something very personal about you that you feel that while people listening, while those who will be listening to this will be able to connect, will be able to gain valuable information from it and understand this very conversation from when we're starting right now to when we're going to get to the end of this conversation. Something very unique that, personally might be a personal story, might be something about you that can be outstanding.
Wow. Okay. Let me start by just giving credit to those that came before me. Okay. Of course, my late father, who was an awesome disciplinarian, especially for this very mischievous little child. Also, my great-grandmother, whom I was privileged to see as a young child when we'd go to the village. This lady, from our best calculation, over age 110.
Wow.
And you see her every morning pick up the broom, sweep the front of the compound. After that, she would get some firewood and get the fire going in the outdoor cooking area. When everyone comes to join her, she'll go inside, take her bath, get ready, have her breakfast, pick up her basket and head off to the market. And if you just watch this lady, then in the evening time, she'll come and play Ayo and other games with us, her great-grandchildren. And today, when you look around, and that creates a very deep respect and detective inquisitiveness as to what were they doing, what did they do that got them to that age so mentally and physically intact that we're not seeing today. According to some statistics, longevity is 52.
And it's declining.
Which means our children will likely live shorter.
Wow.
There'll be a lot more parents burying their children. So it's a very troublesome trend we are seeing. And I think the answers are in looking back at what our grandparents did, great-grandparents did, great-great-grandparents did, that caused them to have longevity and enjoy the old age.
Okay.
So that's...
So just speaking about longevity, what would you say is really the cause of that very reason why age is declining before I come straight to your own profession?
There's been several books, several write-ups on this question. And the ones I have the most respect for are the older write-ups that come out of the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and the early missionaries. And they notice very clearly that when the African or the native people transitioned into the modernized Western lifestyle, their health declined.
Okay.
Longevity followed.
Wow.
And a lot of other factors. They were more prone to ailments, what were called, ailments of Western affluence before. A lot of things declined at the more westernized and the more, quote unquote, urbanized we became. So I think that's probably the major factor from reading books by some earlier writers.
I came across a video yesterday about a woman that she's very sound, over 130 years, a Jamaican. She's very sound. So I picked one thing from what she was saying while they were interviewing her. She then said, in all you do, go back to nature. You get sick, go back to nature. When she was, I think, 18 or 20, she was diagnosed of cancer, and she said, well, I don't know, but I have to go back to nature. And how she was able to heal 20 years, 30 years. She's lived up to 130 and very sound and very fluent with what she's saying. But, coming back to your profession, I know a lot of people might say, oh, you're a herbal doctor, you're a nutritionist. People say that. Sometimes I'm like, okay, well, doctor will tell you best what or who you're going to define him as perfectly. So how would you define yourself for everyone who's actually watching and listening to this?
On a humorous level, I have an older brother, immediate older brother, who says, in your previous life, you were a native doctor. You just happen to have gone to America this time and come back. I'm very privileged to have experienced the traditional healing processes through my grandparents and great-grandparents, and to experience growing up in Lagos, influence of certain teachers, and I'll mention a few of the names, like Mr. Odedele at St. Gregory's College. And then in the university setting, having certain mentors to guide me through chemistry, pharmacy, and medicine. So my entry into the medical arena is from a very scientific, basic chemical, bachelor's in chemistry, into the medicinal chemistry, the pharmacy arena, before the clinical arena. And that makes me very analytical and question what we do as healthcare providers and what comes to us from whatever sources that we are supposed to use for health. And interestingly, as I get older and read more, I'm having a lot more faith and understanding that nature has the answers and solutions for us.
Why do you say that?
I can share you through my personal story with asthma.
Okay.
I had to give up a lot of my westernized nutrition and lifestyle and go back to nature. And in 18 years, no asthma attack. We have clients who are coming in with contemporary ailments, diabetes, high blood pressure, autoimmune disorders. And when we put them back in contact with nature, nutritionally, get their lifestyle back into alignment with our nature, the disease either reduces or totally resolves.
Because quickly, I think, would I say 10 years back or 15 years back, I had this thing called whooping cough. My dad, my mom, no trace of asthma, no trace of anything like that. So, but whenever it comes, I have that discomfort that I can't sleep, I can't breathe. I have to probably be licking tom-tom, or I'm trying to get on heat zone to try to get myself back. But something happened one time, I think 7 years ago or so, or 5 years, not very accurate, but something happened one time. When I left home, I was like, would I continue this way? I asked myself that question, would I continue this way whenever it comes? Because whenever the attack comes, whenever I start having that whooping cough, I feel like an asthmatic patient. I'm I'm trying to gasp for breath. So I one time got an inhaler. Say me who got the inhaler, trashed the inhaler. I was like, why am I using an inhaler? Am I an asthmatic patient? I've lived up to this year, and then I've not used an inhaler. Why am I using it right now? You understand? But all of a sudden, I just declined. I don't know how but by the grace of God, I mute that volume on my head. You know, I just mute it. Whenever it comes, I'll start jogging, move out for exercise, try to beat it off as if there's nothing going on with me. Until 2-3 years now, I haven't even experienced that anymore. And it's kind of so will you say it has anything to do with any of those things I did to stop it, or as a human, you have that defense, that body defense that can still fight that for you?
Okay. You've asked about 3 questions. Let's take it one by one.
All right, no problem.
The first one on this whooping cough.
Okay.
There's a need to redefine the understanding of disease.
Okay.
The current definition or the approach in the allopathic or Western medical model is woefully incomplete, inadequate. I like a more natural, simplistic definition. Disease is simply the body saying what you have been doing is off alignment with the health and wellness.
Okay.
From that approach, if you now investigate what am I doing that may be triggering this, you can decipher or figure out 1 or 2 things that you need to adjust, be it lifestyle, be it nutrition, be it environment, or even mindset. The other aspect is you made certain changes, which I'm sure if you look back, you'd find that they somehow connect to an improved overall well-being.
Okay.
Today, our urban lifestyle takes us away from well-being. Starting with even our architecture. Today we live inside concrete structures that have small windows or no windows, or we're in AC. We don't get outdoors. Part of your well-being is nature, outdoors, sunlight, fresh air, walking on the bare ground. So it's likely in your healing process, you began to bring some of those nature factors back in, which a lot of people need to also, reconnect with. And now there's a third part to your question. I'll come back to my mind in a moment. All right, let's keep going. I'm sure to come back to mind.
Talking about lifestyle, I watched a video that said exercise don't contribute to your doesn't contribute to weight loss. Yes, that's the word for it. That exercise doesn't contribute to weight loss. What would you say as regards to that?
Exercise does not contribute to weight loss. Well, let's turn the question around. Were you born with the excess weight, or something happened in the journey that caused the weight to accumulate? And if we detectively look at your lifestyle up till then, we'll find the factors that have caused the weight to accumulate. Second part of that question, exercise. I don't really like that term. I rather the term fitness and movement. Again, look at how nature has created us. We have legs that are about half the body. They're not for sitting down. They're for movement. And if you look at communities around the world that live very long and have the least health problems, they tend to be very active, especially with their legs.
Can you mention any? Is there any that comes to mind?
I'd love to mention the National Geographic study that came out in 2004 on human longevity.
Okay.
And there were about what they call 5 blue zones around the world.
Okay.
And where people live very long and the least health problems. One of the ones that was kind of a surprise, but not, and when you looked further, was a group or a community in Loma Linda, California. And when you read further, that community is basically a Seventh-day Adventist community. And in their church teaching, in their doctrine, in their lifestyle built around their faith, fitness is actively taught, encouraged, facilitated. Nutrition, avoiding inflammatory foods, is taught, it's facilitated, it's encouraged. Sourcing your food from natural sources, avoidance of certain animal products. So fitness actually amongst that in that community is hard to find obesity in that community. You look at other communities that live long in South America and in Okinawa, Japan, Northern Italy, you find that being a healthy body weight is just normal. Obesity is not the norm. Inactivity, lack of regular movement or fitness activity is not the norm. Told about my great-grandma every day. Got her basket ready. She swept. I didn't recall her complaining of low back pain. And if you try to take that broom from her, she will chase you away. So there's tons of examples around us globally that regular activity, movement, fitness activity if done as part of your lifestyle, is an awesome hindrance or preventive measure against weight gain and obesity.
Let's come a little bit in. Let's talk about management as regards to weight loss, obesity, and all of this, because Now With Your Manager itself is a management podcast, and if you're not able to pinpoint that for the employees, for the organizations that'll be watching this, that'll be streaming this, to also get something from it, then I don't think that is much of an information. But today we're talking about remote world. Everybody's going remote with different stuff. We're having companies cutting off their workforce from either 50 to 25. Everybody go remote. What is the future effect, or the next 5-10 years effect? That's effect that we think is really going to affect workforce in terms of employees, and in terms of how much we prioritize remote process, and people having less fitness, like you mentioned, less fitness or more obesity. Because I know, when you wake up by 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., you're hungry. You just want to eat anything. Because you're hungry, you just want to eat anything. You don't want to tell yourself, oh no, let me not feed on this thing today. Let me just give myself probably 6-5 hours to refresh back. What's your own thoughts in terms of remote work and the health and well-being of employees or even organizations moving forward?
It's an awesome question, and I just love it, because yesterday I did a presentation for a corporate entity.
Wow.
So corporations, businesses, steal about 8 to 12 hours of the daily life of the individual. That's a third to half of their 24-hour cycle. Therefore, companies, businesses, corporations have a responsibility to the health and well-being of the individual. On the sad end, I've seen too many cases where within 2 years of retirement, the person goes downhill, or the person diagnosed with cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, and you name it, or even while they are working. Yes, there's individual responsibility. Companies, whether you have staff in the office or working remotely, should do annually some kind of an analysis of the health trends of their employees.
Okay.
Company I talked to yesterday, for instance, we reviewed some of their annual health data. 3/4 of the staff had BMIs either in the overweight range plus obesity range.
Please help us with the meaning of BMI. Yes.
Basic metabolic index.
Okay.
It's a ratio of your weight to your height in meters squared. So it's a sense of, are you carrying too much weight physically, in kilogram weight for your height? Is it less than ideal?
Oh, is there an ideal weight person is supposed to carry?
There's an ideal range between 20 and 27 for ideal BMI. Above that, it's said overweight. If you're above 30, it's obesity. There are several other measures, but for this particular entity, this was the report that came forth. They had 40-something% abnormal ECG.
Which is?
Electrocardiogram. It's an electronic measure of your heart's behavior. And the workforce is, for the most part, between 30 and 60. So not a very old workforce.
Yeah.
The numbers are in the 30s and 40s. And we are seeing high BMIs put you at risk for diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, and more. Abnormal ECGs is the body sending a signal that something's already going on with the heart. They had some other percentage with abnormal liver function tests. And so our task now is to say, okay, what could be causing these to occur in the corporate space? Number 1, sitting disease. Whether they're at home remotely or in the office, they are sitting for long hours. Sitting is the new smoking.
Oh, I think I heard that. But sorry. Why then do we have the ergonomic seats? I thought it's supposed to give you that flexibility to still... Is it not supposed to ease off some of those things?
The body is at least 50% legs. What are legs designed for? Movement, standing, walking. Sitting is not a natural position, especially sitting on these so-called modernized chairs. If you look at very older cultures, even our northern brethren in the north, folks in parts of Southeast Asia, they squat a lot. They squat a lot. Many of the cultures that live very long, they don't use a lot of chairs. They walk a lot, they squat a lot. So truly, sitting has become part of our decline. We're sitting too much. The longer you sit, you literally tone down or worsen the body's natural life-giving sequences.
Okay.
You have more fat accumulation. You have loss of muscle strength in your legs. Your bones literally deteriorate. Your muscles decondition. Even your breathing muscles, your diaphragm deconditions. Sitting long hours. The risk factors of sitting for long hours. Even if you exercise, if you sit for several hours, 2 to 3 hours daily, without fitness activity in between, your BMI will go up. You'll have accumulation of around the liver and around the abdomen. You get weaker in terms of your leg strength. You're at risk for dementia. You're at risk for so many things from sitting for long hours. The lymphatic drainage, which is a system that clears toxins from the cells back to the liver for clearance, slows down. Your enzymes slow down. So when we analyze the data from this particular company, we pointed to that as one of the major problems that need to be addressed, whether they are remotely at home or
at the office.
At the office. The other factor was nutrition. What was being served in the company cafeteria. Not very encouraging. There was another company we did an analysis for. They noted that about 30% of their staff had developed high blood pressure.
Without even knowing.
They did an annual analysis, we looked at the data, and called us in to do some assessments. Said, okay, this is a company that feeds its staff, just about all of its staff. This company buses their staff from remote parts of Lagos.
Wow.
I mean, Mowe, Mile 12, Aja, down
Bring
to
them to the island.
the island.
Every day.
Every day. Many of the employees wake up at 4 a.m. to get onto the office transport. Many actually finish their sleep in the bus.
Which is not very welcoming.
So already the bulk of the employees have a sleep debt. They're in sleep deficit because they get home quite late. They eat very late, if those who eat late after getting home. Sleep deficit, if you fail to get enough sleep, there are a lot of negative consequences because sleep is when the body goes through its restoration, rehabilitation, rebuilding.
Yeah.
Old cells come down, new cells go up. If you miss your sleep cycle for several days, you will age faster than your colleagues. It's that simple. The hormones that we generate during sleep are our youth hormones that keep us young. They're hormones that help us with our long-term memory, converting short to long-term memory. They're hormones that help us reset our own sex hormones, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. Women who have a lot of hormonal issues, if you assess them properly, they have had chronic sleep debt. So we found that in this company, sleep deficit was rampant amongst the staff. And I can assure you, if you do it long enough, you'll have high blood pressure.
Oh.
We looked at their nutrition. Wow, we had our staff just sit in the canteen cafeteria and watch what these folks eat.
Okay, just randomly.
Well, part of our assessment was have our staff sit at different tables and just observe. The mountain of rice, the mountain of eba that they were gulping down.
I'm sorry, I feel like, I don't know, but how would I be at the office and then I'm eating Gary? Because that's straight sleep.
Very generous employer in terms of providing ample nutritional resources to the staff. The sad part is some of the staff were very honest and said they do 0, 1, 0.
Oh.
This is their only meal for the day. So they overload the body.
Oh. But they can still break it down.
If even when we made some recommendations, there was pushback, there was fight back. All the time, don't come and disturb us here. The amount of animal protein they were consuming was quite a bit.
Okay.
The level of these high sugar soft drinks they were consuming was quite a bit. And when we tried to tamper with those two things, there was pushback, almost fight back. Don't touch it all. Carry your organ self, go back to where you're coming from. So companies have a responsibility.
Okay.
And companies, by virtue of taking so many hours from their employees for doing their work or transporting them back and forth, if they fail to address these little issues, you have not only declining productivity, you'll have an increasing medical bill.
And that's on the company.
Yes. Some companies see this and don't take proactive or effective action. And some quietly will dismiss or let employees go. Or encourage early retirement as the bills mount up. And quite often, once they go into early retirement, they can't afford the health care that they were getting when they were under the insurance plan of the company.
I don't know supposed to probably have on intervals like you recommended. If you have 8 hours in between 30 minutes or probably, because I personally sit a lot. So what I do on intervals is I would just leave my seat and probably do some push-ups, just flex my legs a little bit, walk around the house, go back again, and then I sit. So don't you think that can also be a recommendation that can?
Absolutely. Everything from every 30 minutes, maximum 60 minutes, stop work, get up, walk around, go do 2-3 flights of stairs, come back, sit down and continue. If you have space, do a quick dash down the hallway and back. If you have a bit more facilities in your company, like downstairs, or even just a jump rope, do about 1 minute on the jump rope.
And that's good.
Powerful. Rejuvenates the body, increases blood flow, dulls any of the brain fog, and just gets you more productive. If you're some of the Fortune 500 companies, you provide what's called a siesta space for clients, for staff to go take a brief 10-minute, 15-minute power nap.
Well, I think the smaller organizations will be looking forward to that. Well, you know, what you've been able to share so far has a lot to do with work-life balance. So, and we have this thing where we hear people say work-life balance is a scam, just like they said exercise is a scam. So will you also say work-life balance is a scam? Because sometimes you have to do extra even without your employer, or you personally might be the employer, you have to do extra. So what would you say about work-life balance?
Very broad term. When you talk about work-life balance, you're also looking at the home front. If you're married, spouse, you have children, you have other responsibilities, extended family. You have other responsibilities, whether it's social associations, church responsibilities and things like that. Work-life balance. There are experts who take this to that detail.
Okay.
We encourage companies to also engage such sessions to the staff. You know, when I was in training, both at Howard University and at Johns Hopkins, we had a lot of senior physicians, a good number of them, who were divorced. And it was no surprise because they were in love with their work. I mean, top surgeons who love to do surgery till late in the day. They love the hospital environment. They love the energy, the adrenaline of the emergency room. They loved what they were doing, and they were awesome in their fields. But socially, at home,
imbalance.
We had a case of suicide. A medical student. Both of his parents are medical doctors. Work-life balance. It's serious.
From the child?
The child this medical student who was one of our colleagues committed suicide.
Oh, that's
a lot of unresolved issues. Both his parents are top-notch medical doctors. Work-life balance. And frankly, though I admire them professionally, my senior colleagues who were, best at what they do, written papers, written books, written journals, going to conferences, I knew I would not follow the example in terms of the social cultural structures. No.
I think your own line of business quite gives you that flexibility, because I know you often organize some sessions, but we'll come to that. But let's just be done with work-life balance first. You'll come to that.
What happens at home affects the emotional stability of the staff in the office.
Okay.
So it's not, this is work, that's home. Sorry, that's unreal. There's an overlap. If what happens in the office, unless the individual is gifted in how to create that dichotomy, the office anxiety, the office emotional vicissitudes plays out at home, and vice versa. I mean, we run a modest-sized practice, and we pay attention to these. We see how the staff come in the door, and we've taught them when you come into work, and there's some unresolved issues from home, just literally take off that jacket,
leave it by the door,
black bag, and drop it by the door, and come in with a smile into the office.
Yeah.
We have sessions where we bring in experts to talk about work-life balance. I mean, we had a scenario of a staff who was, those domestic abuse, domestic violence. It definitely affected her work. So we had to kind of step into the space. I mean, eventually, a divorce occurred, and she took the children and took them to her grandmother's, who's somewhere else, another town in Nigeria. So work-life balance. Employers, HR departments, your arena must be cognizant of this, and it enhances. The more we can address these, it enhances the productivity, the enjoyment of the workspace, the smiling coming to work, the looking forward to work, the delight at the end of the day going home.
Sometimes you can't entirely keep that balance, because there's sometimes when even personally you have to deliver on a job. Personally, I've actually run like 3 days with less sleep. But like what you said, what happened to me after the 4th day, I broke down in the sense that if I should look at anything, my eyes needs to go back to bed. I can't get stable. I can't process anything. I just know that at this point in time, I'm not very stable. But what do you think, or what do you suggest employees should do at that point when they have to deliver on the job, and still you have to still keep yourself 100 and be on that sanity? Because if you probably go back home, the stress from work can be mentally draining. You understand? And it might in turn reflect on the people you're communicating with, either your husband, your spouse, or whoever the person is. So how do you still keep that process on when you get back to work and have that freedom?
I'll share with you two perspectives.
Okay.
One personal and one from a book we read in our executive MBA training.
Okay.
Personal. My wife was pregnant with our second child. I was working in the emergency room. This is in Florida. And I finished shift at approximately 4 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
I knew she was home. I'm a bit of a naturopath, so it was a home birth.
Yeah.
The nurse, the team for the home birth were at my home.
Okay.
Wife was experiencing contractions. They had to do some walking around. Literally, once I got home about 5 a.m., walk into the house, change. Baby said, "All right, daddy is home. I hear his voice. It's time to come out."
Whoa. Another walk. Nnamdi has been here since yesterday trying to set up this, and I'm trying to imagine, because this is also going to be helpful for him. That's the podcast producer here. So what to say right now is going to be very effective, because he has been here since yesterday trying to get this work very well. So, and I'm sure possibly he has not had a full night's rest probably, and he's still very proactive. So I think what to be sharing right now will also make a whole lot of sense for him too.
I pondered it later. Was it that my wife waited, somehow spoke to little baby to hold on till I got home, or baby said, until I heard daddy's voice, I'm not coming out? Second scenario, There's an awesome book
called
It's Your Ship by Captain, I think it's Abrashoff. And he was a captain in the US Navy.
Okay.
He said when his tour of duty was to begin on the fleet, he was at the bay waiting to come on board. In the sequence, you are waiting for the captain of the fleet to come down first, and then you go up.
Yeah.
When the captain was coming off the ship, there was on the ship there was a lot of quiet, ceremony as it was going off. As he climbed down the stairs, there was this thunderous boo.
Okay.
Negative, good riddance, exhalation.
Yeah.
And he said, no way. That can't be me. When I finish my tour of duty with this fleet, I won't have that sort of a decapitating, sad exit. He made the point to have what we call personal management interviews. The crew was about 2,000 strong. He said every single person, he would meet with them, talk to them one-on-one. Understand who they are, what they're doing, if they're married, not married, they have children, where are the children, are they in school, are they looking for scholarships, to the point where he knew who was looking to buy a car, he knew who was looking for a scholarship, he knew. If you get a chance to read that book, you understand the power of that one-on-one.
What's the name again?
It's Your Ship.
It's Your Ship. By Captain.
I think it's Abramov or Abrashoff. I can't remember his full name, but It's Your Ship. It's a powerful book. He had a very successful tour of duty on that fleet, to the point where injuries were just about zero. The staff was so committed, they so loved him. I mean, he said to the point where if you saw an article online about a house being sold or a car being sold, he knew which of the staff he needed to send that information to. So something about a scholarship. Wow. He knew who had a child looking for a scholarship. He was so in tune with each and every of his 2,000 crew.
How did he manage this?
Mindset. That he made a decision that I'm going to know every one of my team. From the folks in the kitchen, folks in the engine room, to the folks on the deck steering the ship.
That's you beating off management straight to
this. Exactly.
I'm trying to imagine the time and the days that will be spent to be a coach, because at that point he's being a coach to each and every one of them. Some he's actually going to come to them as a mentor, not as a boss, not as their employer, but as a friend, as a brother, so that you can be free and open to communicate with me. So, well, I'm actually going to look up on the book It's Your Ship again. But thank you for sharing that. Just a little bit about while you were sharing some information, you talked about nutrition, and I know in one of your wellness programs you've had. Personally, doctor is a wellness expert. So, in one of your wellness program, you've talked about how one can, walk barefooted. One of the programs you shared with me sometime, and even when we had our virtual podcast, where you talked about walking barefooted on sand beach and getting to take a walk outside. Personally, through your journey in nutrition, and I know your wife is also a part of that, how did you come up to this point where you say that, this is actually what we should be looking at for people's well-being?
Powerful question. Along the journey, how did I decide this is what people should be?
Yeah.
At some point as you grow professionally, things happen, and if you're introspective enough and you make quiet time, you get this clarity that your journey is not yours. There's a larger purpose of your being on this journey. And if you deliberately accept and submit yourself to this guidance, strange things will happen. I use the word revelations will occur. You may see even some dreams. People will walk into the room and say something, and you pick up the word, and suddenly, there's something that word has triggered that you have to attend to.
Why did you use the word strange things? Is it in a negative way?
In a very positive way.
Okay.
We're so used to how life unfolds and how we control everything that occurs.
Yeah.
And if it's outside of that, we may say, that's strange, and just ignore it. It's coincidental.
Okay.
In my space, nothing is coincidental. I've passed that level in my maturity. Nothing is coincidental. Everything occurs for a reason. And if you're in that frame of mind, you know that if you're driving in your car and your subconscious spots somebody or an event through the side here, you take note. You slow down, maybe even turn around and come back to it. So in my journey, at some point, someone or an event occurred that caused me to look up, earthing, grounding, walking barefooted. I'll give an example. When I returned home initially, I worked for an HMO. After 2 years, decided to step out, and I'd ordered some DVDs. After midnight, I was on the computer doing some work. The DVDs, about 10 of them were stacked on the bookshelf.
Okay. Like an audiobook?
Actually, video on DVD.
Okay.
Doing my work, and suddenly something drops on the floor. And the sound of it was as if a CD or DVD case dropped on the floor. That's strange. It's only me here in the study. I mean, the shelf is well balanced. Nothing, things don't drop like that.
Yeah.
But because I was aware of a teaching from someone who has passed away, and I didn't mention his name, Wayne Dyer. He said, if your mind is focused on the journey, on activity, and odd things occur around you, strange things, take note. The energy you've put out has caused those things to come into your space.
At that time?
Yes. So I looked on the floor, picked up the DVD, opened it up, put it in the DVD drive. And what was it? It was about an institute in California, a center in California that uses nutrition to reverse chronic disease, especially cancer.
Wow.
And I knew that was the next phase of my journey. This was around February. By May, I was in San Diego, California, at the institute, attending their training program.
What year was this?
This was 2011.
Wow.
2011. So at what point did walking barefooted, grounding occur? And other things that have caused me to challenge my conventional allopathic medical training and find answers in the unconventional, and thus practice heavily unconventional. As the good Lord unfolds, I faithfully step in, boldly, courageously, in spite of being outside the crowd. I tell you another story. While I was practicing in Florida, Tampa Bay, Florida, had a patient come to see me. He had stage 2 prostate cancer, biopsy proven. He had gone to a center elsewhere, somewhere in Florida, where he had spent some time, and they'd given him some protocols to follow. He had to come back home to Tampa, and they told him, find a doctor who understands nutrition and is open to the unconventional. There was a vegan restaurant I frequented, and he also attended there, and the owners who I was friends with told him to come see me. We talked quite a bit, and I told him about my plans of coming back to Nigeria. And he made this very powerful statement. He said, Dr. Patrick, who you are today and who you need to be for the Nigerian journey are two different people. You need to go through a transformation. Give me some more information. There was an institute that has these courses in transformation. Non-church related, non-denominational, a simple institute, private institute that does this. And I began to attend their courses in Tampa and Fort Lauderdale.
That's back in the States?
Yes, back in the US. Again, at what point did I step out unconventionally? Because I've accepted my purpose, the journey I am assigned to do on this physical part of the journey. These doors open, these revelations occur, these people step in and tell me this is the next phase. if you get a chance to visit our wellness facility here in Ikoyi,
I'm looking forward to that.
you'd likely ask what often other folks ask: how did you do this? Where did the idea come from? And allow me to bring in my brother's comment. My brother says, in my previous life, I was a native doctor. You combine the access to the knowledge from our ancestral database, and we all have it.
But it's not. But I don't think it's really accessible. It's open to everyone.
We have it. Unless you are in tune and you're open to it, you can't access it. If you disregard it, if you disrespect your parents, you cannot access it.
Why do you say so?
Your parents are part of the ancestral lineage. They have the key to that memory that you carry.
Oh.
If you honor your parents, you honor your grandparents, you honor your great-grandparents, that the key is passed on to you to access the memories. Many times I wake up in the morning and there's so much clarity on what I need to do that day. Get something done that same day. And I just know with faith, I get it done. Visit the center, you'll see some of these things. I wouldn't tell you, I planned it 3 years ago like this, like that. No.
Okay.
I'm fully accepting of my purpose on this journey and the openness of the larger wisdom from God, from the ancestors, and the memories that have been bequeathed to me.
That's a very touchable. You know, talking about journey, I kind of remember when I was just in my room with my AirPod. I wanted to learn management, but I kind of transitioned from UI UX design and then wanted to start my journey in management. But I wasn't very comfortable in doing design because I loved colors, I loved the fonts, I loved the stuff, but I didn't see myself there long term. I love to speak, but I didn't know whether it was going to be podcasting. I'd never for one day imagined myself being a podcaster. I didn't say, oh, okay, I'm into, but I knew that someday I was going to stand in a crowd of people and then speak to people, connect with people, but I didn't know if it was going to be through the podcast medium. But over time, I connected with a friend and then walked me through product management, and then I decided to say, no, I don't want to do what everybody's doing. If I'm doing project management cuts across any industry, any organization. It's not limited to just a particular thing. It's not if I'm coming to manage this bottle, how it's being produced, just that. But I can actually manage a team that are producing this bottle, okay? And over time, management then came in and I was supposed to pay for a certification course. I decided to rather buy a mic because of the stress, the internet, Nigeria, Wahala, you know. I decided to buy a podcast mic to switch off the process and let people hear me audibly. But then I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just doing it just do it because you enjoy doing it. Just every day I show up. But I made one statement then that I didn't really know the effect. But right now I have to sit back again and tell myself that, oh, it was very good I made that statement, that with or without. I didn't know what it meant then, but I just said with or without. With or without then was whether I have a podcast mic, I have a good camera, whether I have anything to make this sound production interesting. What I need to do is I need to look for a guest, connect to the guest, we have the show, people get to watch it, listen to it, connect. And today, here we are. And I still don't know where we're going to the next 2-3 years, but I know that we're going somewhere very wonderful. You understand? So thank you very much for sharing that. And I really want people to also connect and understand that you don't just wake up to do a thing. Nothing just comes. Nothing is ever planned. Even if you plan those things will always change. Like we were already set up and we had to switch some process and where we need to position the AC or something. You understand? And in terms of wellness and nutrition and all that you've been able to share, I feel like it's something we need to bring into today's culture because it's really lagging behind. If you tell someone, oh, just take a simple walk, it's like you're beating the person with a cane. Let me sit down here. I still want to sit down here. I don't want to move from this place. If you tell someone, oh no, drink water, just drink only water. Just stay on water just for the next 6 hours. If you wake up in the morning, just drink only water. Don't eat any food. Or probably if you want to eat it, just take light fruits. You understand? It's like you're beating the person with a cane. He wants to be fully filled up. When I come up, I sit down because something happened to me one time. I had 15 minutes to my podcast. I had myself filled up. I ate a lot. not like very protein. I had lots of protein, and when I started the podcast, my brain was sleeping. So immediately I was done with the podcast, I told myself, never you consume any meal before your podcast. Give yourself that space. If you have to take anything, it must be very light, or you drink just water. If the hunger is going to kill you, better it kills you than my brain sleeping, because during the conversation, I was like, what am I even saying? I'm asking myself, what am I saying? I'm sleeping on my brain. I'm trying to look for the next thing to connect with. So thank you very much for also sharing that. And I want us to talk a little bit about your own background, about your wife, because I know your wife is also a part of this. Very happy to meet her the other time at the restaurant, and when we got to connect. And how did you guys come together to build this center to what it is? Talking about couples who are doing great things, and I mean to say you are one of those who are actually doing a very wonderful thing in what you're doing and running it off for the past 10 years plus. How did you guys come to that understanding to say that, oh, this is what we want to do and this is what we're going to promote and make it better?
Let me break this down. How did we come together?
Yes.
How did we come together to decide this is what we want to do and then to build it together? All right, let's take the first part. How did we come together? Again, this is where, if you're one who has faith and believe in your journey, God will put mentors on your path who will give you guidance. And if you're a listening ear, an obedient ear, I must mention a mentor, Mr. Abul Ayi. He's a pharmacist in Lakeland, Florida. I met him after I finished training in Baltimore, and I got a job with a group, Clark and Daughter Medical Group in Lakeland. Once we met, it was that father-son relationship, father-son-friend relationship. The second time we talked, he gave me a key to his house. Said, I know you work long hours. If you need a place to rest, if you need someone to talk to, if you need some food, that's the key. Come to my home. Called his wife on the phone, introduced me to her. That was it. Several months down the line, he called me and said, come. At this point, I was single. Do you know what you want in a wife? I said, well, I know some of what the qualities I want in a wife, and I think I know more of what I do not want in a wife. I said, very good. Write it down. First time he said this, came in this ear.
I went out there. Can imagine.
Several weeks later, I run to him again in the hospital, and he asked me the question, have you written that list? I admitted no. He said, young man, there's some things you don't leave to chance. Go and write that list. Get a paper, draw a line down the middle. On one side, write what you want in a wife. Other side, what you do not want in a wife. Above all, with yourself be honest. With thyself be honest. It's between you and God. I obeyed. Did the list. It's interesting, barely 3 to 4 months later, I'm in the hospital working, and I encounter this nurse. It was around 4 a.m., long emergency room shift, and I was a bit tired and I was a bit brash in my behavior. I felt remorseful shortly after, and I went to locate the nurse and just quickly apologized. But she got my attention. Something about her got my attention. A few weeks later, I connected with somebody who knew her, got her number, and called her up. Ubong, what I'm going to say to you now, I kid you not. She worked a night shift in the emergency room also. So did I. So often in the morning, we'll go for breakfast. Either as we're talking on the phone, or in person having breakfast or early lunch, the list will show up.
Enough. Wow.
I'm talking to her or in person. The list will show up with a hand and a pen going,
sick. Wow.
I recall, this was February, I recall the day in April, early April. I was on the phone with her, I was in my bedroom speaking to her, and the hand showed up with the list, and the very last line on that list went, check. After I hung up the phone, I shook my head. I said, my God, this is not real. I called up my mentor, Mr. Ayi, said, sir,
To be sure.
this is what just happened. He said, it's a done deal. When you made that list, we had a covenant agreement with God that what is on there is what you want. God said, I'm going to find the person that matches this list for you. So I said to him, sir, there's a small problem. She's not Nigerian. He said, well, did you write on the list that you want a Nigerian? So it didn't cross my mind.
You didn't specify.
I didn't specify.
Wow.
I said, well, it's done. He said, don't even try and change it. If you do, you'll create chaos. It's done. Okay. Called my father. That was another day. Eventually, my father sent my oldest brother
over there
to the US to come and check out this person.
Okay.
And he approved. Came back home and then my dad said, okay, bring her home, let her visit Nigeria. The rest is history. So that's how we came together. How did we come together on this idea of the wellness center, nutrition, an unconventional practice? This is why I say God is a master chess player. And if you accept and you're open to that guidance, He moves you on the chessboard and you don't know you're being moved on the chessboard. Even as of today, I'm still a pawn on the chessboard. And I've submitted to His movements. Everything in my training, BSc Chemistry, B Pharmacy, MD, MBA, everything in her training, nursing degree, nutrition training, merged beautifully into what we have today called Carib Health. The hospital, called the Nutrition Hospital, the Wellness Center, the consultants we've trained in nutrition and beyond, everything we're doing. Both of us love knowledge. So every day we're either reading something or attending an online training, reading a book here, listening to a podcast or something, and we're constantly exchanging information and growing. On my list, I asked for some growth, somebody who will grow with me. All right, let me pause there. I think I've answered that question.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for talking about pen and paper. I have a mentor who constantly tell me, Matthew, even if you're in the toilets, you're walking on the road, or you're in the house, just keep a piece of pen or a piece of paper and a pen close to you. Whenever you have an idea, jot it down. Not your phone, not your gadgets. Leave the technology aside. Whenever anything comes to mind, whether it's perfect or you don't even understand what came to mind, but you know that thing made sense, jot it down. And I'm happy that you've been able to share this as part of your journey for those who will be listening to this one, those who will be watching this, for them to also understand that technology has come to stay, yes, but technology in one way has its own role to play. And if you still look back at writing and paper and pen, when you're writing, I don't know how, but I know there's something that connects the hand and the brain together when you're putting down that writing compared to typing. Is this something?
It is so absolutely true.
Okay.
I've heard it from several sources, but the one person that drove this home for me was again my mentor, Mr. Ayi, Abel Ayi. He said, always keep a notepad and a pen at your bedside. Ideas will drop while you're asleep and even just wake you up. Write it down immediately. Don't say, in the morning. No. Get up, write it down, go back to sleep. Sometimes they're walking down the aisle in the grocery store, an idea drops. Or even in church while the pastor or the priest is conducting service. Have a paper and pencil. So absolutely. Somehow, when you do it this way, at the point at which the idea drops, there is a subconscious awareness. There's a Some say you're in theta, where your body is heavily receptive to suggestion and the idea. If you do it that way, you're programming your subconscious mind to go to work to bring it into your physical reality.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for sharing that. And I'm very happy that we've been able to sit down here to have this conversation. And I'm looking forward to having more and more and more health and wellness conversation with you. And trust me, I'm going to make a visit to your wellness center to have a first-hand view of that and also have a first-hand experience, because I feel like it's very important that today, in today's world, we do more of connecting with nature. We do more of connecting with leaving our gadgets and then take a walk, move outside, see what's going on outside. Because at the end of every day, what I do is I just walk around the estate. I just push up everything. Let me just take a walk, even if it's 30 minutes outside. Just take a walk to anywhere. Wherever the route takes me back home, I'll then find myself back home. So it's really, really awesome to hear you share this information and from your own wealth of experience. And before we close up on this, from all that you've shared in terms of employees, management, organization, the corporate space, and even in terms of our own personal health, what would you say is going to be that last word you would be giving out for everyone who's listening to this to take home in terms of wellness, in terms of nutrition, and in terms of today's fast-changing technology world?
Okay, I'll make 2 or 3 comments. The first one, regarding health and wellness, it's a caution. The further you stray away from Mother Nature, the further you stray away from Mother Nature, the sooner she says, return to sender. You want to enjoy wellness, good health, longevity, get back to nature. Whether it's walking barefooted, whether it's hugging the trees, drinking coconut water, eating salads, whether it's being in love with your environment, your neighbors, your family, making peace, being in harmony with who God has created you to be, enjoying sunlight. The closer you are to nature, the connection, the magic that happens is limitless. In terms of being in the corporate wellness space, companies have a responsibility to the health and wellness of their staff. They're not just pawns you bring in to drain them of their...
Like robots.
Yeah, just drain them of their being and then discard. You want higher productivity, you must key into their health, their wellness, and their work-life balance. The third, mentorship. Get a mentor. You can have more than one mentor. A physical mentor you spend time with, mentorship from books, from audios, from mentorship. And now, the umbrella of all of this is that relationship with our Creator. Each of us is here for a purpose, a very clear purpose. Seek clarity in understanding that purpose. And then be obedient to how He plays the chess game to your success.
Oh, thank you very much. And I would also learn to keep myself open to play the chess game, or for myself to be used as a pawn to move the chess game. So thank you very much, Doctor, for this very wonderful conversation. And I'm looking forward to us having this session like this again. Let's continue to share more information. And trust me, and Now With Your Manager has come to stay. And this is just the first start. And we're looking to do more. We're looking to bring in top guests, top professionals, top experts who will be able to also share information like this and let people understand that, yes, technology is here. Yes, there's a whole lot of things going on, but we also have to go back to the basics. You also have to go back to what was going on before to make a better future for us moving forward. And having someone like you always on our podcast is always a life-changing opportunity to share the stage with you every point in time. And I'm very, very happy to have you here. And my team too is also very happy to have you here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Obong. Delighted. Thank you.
I appreciate it.